Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Leah and most of my videos are focused on unsolved crimes and mysteries. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. So as you probably have noticed, the background in my video is not the same as it normally is. It's because I am on holiday in Denmark and again I'm staying in my sister's house, just in case you were wondering. Today we're going to be talking about a case that I actually covered when I just started my YouTube channel about a year ago. It's about the Danish girl Emilie Meng that was kidnapped, essayed and murdered. The trial has started and a lot of new details and information has come out. It is beyond terrifying. So that's why I am making a new video with all the updates. I do have to put out a trigger warning and say that viewers' discretion is advised because it's very graphic, it's very, very scary and terrifying. The police actually came out and said that if this guy had not been caught, he could have been a potential Danish serial killer. It's so scary because this took place only about 20 minutes from my sister's house. So it's very close to home. So if you're ready, let's do this. Emilie Meng was a gorgeous 17-year-old girl with a very, very bright future ahead of her. She was on her second year in college where she was a straight-A student. She also had a very beautiful voice and would be singing in the local church choir every Sunday. She loved singing and never missed out on any Sunday at church. Emilie also had a very close relationship with her mom, Emilie Meng, and they lived together in a very nice house in the center of Korsør in Denmark. Emilie was known to be funny, sweet, happy, loving and caring, and she had a really good sense of humor. She loved life and was a very happy girl. She also had a very close group of friends and they would hang out all the time. On July 10th, 2016, Emilie and 3 of her friends decided to have a girls' night out. Emilie had recently broken up with her boyfriend and she saw this night as an opportunity to have some fun and get her mind off her ex-boyfriend. So Emilie and her friends, they went out for dinner. They had pizza and Emilie, she loved the one with a lot of tomatoes and corn. After they finished eating dinner, they went to Korsør train station and took a 9-minute ride to Slagelse. They walked a bit and ended up in a water pipe cafe where they also enjoyed a few drinks. The 4 friends had a really great time. They were talking, joking and laughing. And about 3:15 a.m., they decided to end the night and go back home. So they walked back to Slagelse train station, and when the train finally arrived, they jumped in and 9 minutes later, they were back in Korsør train station. It was around 4 a.m., and not many people is seen that late on the train station. The 3 friends of Emilie, they jumped into a taxi and told Emilie to get in. But Emilie told them that she needed some alone time to clear her head, so she wanted to walk home. The friends, they tried to convince her to get in the taxi, but Emilie, she insisted on walking home. So the 3 friends drove away in the taxi and Emilie started walking down a path between some fields. She had walked there so many times and felt completely safe. The next morning, her mother, Helene, she woke up and realized that Emilie, she wasn't home, and it looked like she didn't even sleep in her bed. She did think it was a bit strange, but she thought that Emilie might have slept in one of her friend's house. But when her phone rang, and it was the church telling her that Emilie never showed up in church, she could feel she started panicking. She knew that Emilie, she would never ever miss church. Helene called all Emilie's friends and they told her that Emilie, she insisted on walking home from the train station and none of them have heard from her since. Helene then called the police to report Emilie missing, and she explained everything to the police, also that she had just broken up with her boyfriend. They asked her if Emilie ever ran away from home before, and she told them that she had, but it was only one time when she was much younger. The police made a huge mistake assuming that she had ran away again to deal with the loss of her boyfriend. It took 4 days before the police officially reported Emilie Meng missing and started an investigation. The public in Denmark was in shock, and they all came together and created teams to go out and search for Emilie. They walked down the same path as she did, and they checked all the fields, the woods, and everywhere they could think of. Facebook groups were created with her picture and description and the location where she was last seen. People in Korsør was terrified, and they desperately wanted to find Emilie. But nobody had heard or seen anything, and the surveillance camera outside Korsør train station was broken, so the police, they had nothing to go on. Emilie's parents and her friends, they were devastated and heartbroken. 5 months went by and there were no new clues or information. On Christmas Day, the 24th of December 2016, a family of 3 was walking their dog next to a pond in Regnemarks Bakke, which is 65 kilometers from Korsør. When the couple's child spotted a big bone on the ground next to the pond, the mother was excited and said, "Let's go and look at the bone and maybe we can find out which animal the bone belonged to." But when they got closer, the mother quickly told her husband to get their child away from the area. She realized straight away that this bone was not from an animal, it was human. She called the police and told them what they had found, and soon after the police arrived and sealed off the area. Divers was sent into the water, and under a lot of branches, they found the remains of Emilie Meng. She had tape around her nose, her mouth, and her neck. She was undressed and her clothes were found nearby in a yellow plastic bag. The medical examiner didn't find any signs of stab wounds or gunshot wounds, so his best guess was that she suffocated by someone covering her face and neck with a tape, or she was strangled. The medical examiner found skin from tomatoes and yellow corn in her stomach, and that was a match for the pizza that she had with her friends the night that they went out 5 months earlier. So he said that Emilie Meng was probably murdered shortly after she was kidnapped, and she would have been in the water for minimum 3 months. The public was heartbroken and wanted to know who would do this. They all agreed that Christmas would never be the same again for a very long time. Vigils were held and thousands of people walked through Korsør to honor Emilie Meng. A year after Emilie went missing, the police came out with a short and very blurry video from the night at the train station. It turned out that there was a camera inside the train station, and it showed a white car leaving the parking lot right after Emilie started walking. They said that they were looking for the owner of a white Hyundai, but nobody came forward. It was like the investigation hit a dead end. 6 years later, on November 8, 2022, a 15-year-old girl from a sports college in Sorø was walking around the school property talking with her mom on the phone. She was suddenly attacked from behind and she was forced on knife point to get down on the ground. She dropped her phone and started crying, and she was screaming, "Mom, help me, please help me." The man sat down on her and tried to put zip ties on her hands and drag her to his car. But she was fighting and screaming so much that the man gave up on his kidnapping attempt and told her to count to 100 before getting up. And then after that, he ran to his car and left. The girl was in shock and completely hysterical. She got up and found her phone and called her mom back. She kept her mom on the phone while walking back to the school, but the mother had already called the school principal and he was out looking for her. He finally saw the girl walking towards him, but because she was in a state of shock, she didn't recognize him first and pulled away from him. He called out for her and identified himself, and she ran towards him to safety. And then they went inside the school and called the police. Nobody saw anything, but this time they found DNA on her jacket. Now they just had to find out who this DNA belonged to, but they didn't, because the DNA was not in their system. Time went by and nobody was arrested. Nobody knew who this guy was or if it could have any connection to Emilie Meng. They had no idea if it was the same man. Again, 5 months went by with no new clues. On April 15th, 2023, a sweet 13-year-old girl was out alone on her paper route in Kirkerup. She was having a great day and just delivered her last newspaper. She called her stepdad to tell him that she was finished and done for the day and she was headed back home on her pushbike. So he knew that she would be home very soon. Time went by and the 13-year-old girl, she didn't come home. The stepdad called her over and over but didn't get an answer. He also called her friends, but nobody had heard from her, so he decided to call the police. The police drove out looking for her and checked everywhere along the area where she had delivered newspapers. That was where they found something really disturbing. On the side of the road, they found the 13-year-old girl's pushbike, and next to the bike, they found her mobile phone. They knew right then and there what they were facing. It was another kidnapping, and they knew that they had to move fast. They decided to involve the public right away and asked the public that lived in the Kirkerup area and the people who had been driving in the area that morning to check their security cameras on their properties and their houses, and they also asked people to check their dash cams on their vehicles. And a massive investigation started along with a huge search party. Everyone was terrified for the well-being of this 13-year-old girl, and many people were praying for her to be found safe and alive. The police received so many tips from different people, and several locations were checked. There were also locations where they started digging, but there was no sign of the 13-year-old girl. 27 hours went by and the police were gonna have a press conference. I believe that half the people in Denmark was glued to the TV screen expecting the worst. When they started the press conference, you could tell by looking at their faces that they were emotional. They told the public that the 13-year-old girl had been found alive. We were then told that police officers was giving an order to go to an address in Korsør and arrest the man living there. The officers mentally prepared themselves for what they might find on the address. They knew that it could possibly be connected to the 13-year-old girl and Emilie Meng. The police arrived on the address and knocked on the door, but nobody opened. So they decided to break down the door, and a few feet away from them, they saw Philip West just standing there wearing nothing but a t-shirt and boxer shorts. They shouted at him to get down on the floor, and while they put handcuffs on him, they told him that he was arrested. Another police officer entered the house and started searching, and when he opened the door to the bedroom, he found the 13-year-old girl laying undressed on her stomach on the bed with zip ties on her hands and feet. She had also been blindfolded. She broke down crying and told the officer that she had been SA'd several times. The officer was very emotional but assured her that she was safe now and he would make sure that she would be reunited with her mom very soon. The police started investigating Philip West, and they found out that he actually owned a white Hyundai at the time that Emilie she went missing. But he had damaged the car and sold it to a car junkyard. The manager there felt like the car could be repaired, so that's what he did, and he sold it to a car dealer in Slovakia. The police contacted the Slovakia police and requested that the car would be confiscated and returned to Denmark so they could check it for DNA. The car was found and sent back to Denmark. It was completely torn apart, but unfortunately, they didn't find any DNA in the car. The police then searched his new black Hyundai and they found a knife, a blue nylon string, several pairs of shoes, and underwear. In his house, they found hundreds of hours of recordings with child pornography. They also found thousands of pictures of child pornography. They found a black suitcase, and when they opened it, they found a roll of tape that matched the tape that was found on Emilie Meng. And when it was tested, Emilie Meng's DNA was found on it. It was a match. The end of the tape on the roll and the end of the tape found on Emilie Meng was also a match. A world-famous professor named Asger Willerslev, he also found Philip West's DNA on her jeans. Philip West was asked by the police how he could explain that Emilie Meng's DNA was on that roll of tape. Philip West denied everything, and he said that he had just been out walking and he probably just found that roll of tape on the ground and brought it back home. He always did that. If he was out walking and found something of value or something he could use, he would pick it up and bring it back home like a collector. He had no idea how Emilie Meng's DNA ended up on that roll of tape. The police also found a list full of names and addresses of different girls. Some of them he already knew, and others he had found on social media. But he claims that he only made that list for fun, like a part of his fantasies, and he never planned to kidnap or hurt any of them. After Philip West was arrested, his twisted sexual fantasies could no longer take place. So he was stimulating himself by writing 2 novels in prison, where he described his desire for kidnapping, sexual sadism, torture, and strangulation, and much more. The novels were confiscated by the police. And Philip West explained that he's a sexual sadist and he has fantasies about kidnapping girls, keeping them in their house against their will. He likes hardcore porn, torture, strangulation, and watching girls being tormented. The trial is still ongoing and he is expected to be sentenced on June 28th. He denies to have anything to do with the kidnapping, SA, and the murder of 17-year-old Emilie Meng. He also denies any attempt of kidnapping on the 15-year-old girl from the sports college in Sorø. But he does admit to the kidnapping and SA of the 13-year-old girl, but he denies to have planned to take her life. We are all convinced that he is the man behind the kidnapping, SA, and murder of Emilie Meng, and he is also the man behind the kidnapping attempt on the 15-year-old girl from the sports college. Everyone in Denmark is hoping that the police they have enough evidence to put this guy away and throw away the key. Everyone in Denmark is so relieved that this man was caught, so he can never hurt anyone ever again. He's expected to be sentenced on June 28th, 2024. I'm gonna keep you updated, and in the meantime, Please cross your fingers and say a prayer for all the families involved. So that's it for today's video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Do you think the police have enough evidence to convict this guy? Personally, I hope they're gonna lock him up and throw away the key. But as they say, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. I just feel like there's a lot of things that connects him to the murder of Emilie Meng. There's also the 15-year-old girl where they found his DNA on her jacket. He does admit to some of the things that he did to the 13-year-old girl. I just think that when you put it all together, he is as guilty as sin. So, in my opinion, if they let him go, he is definitely gonna do it again. So let's hope and pray they keep him behind bars. Other than that, I really hope that they can prove that he is the one behind the murder of Emilie Meng. Her family has been suffering, searching desperately for answers since 2016. They deserve justice and closure so they can start the healing process. I am so sorry for your loss. And to the 15-year-old girl, wow, she was really lucky that she was fighting to get out of the hands of this guy. And she did. And I am so happy for you. And the 13-year-old girl, she is traumatized. She is so traumatized, which is also why I'm not going to mention her name. And I hope that she will get all the help that she needs so she will be able to lead a normal life. But we expect this guy to be sentenced on June 28th. So I'm gonna keep you all updated, and in the meantime, please keep the families and the victims in your prayers and cross your fingers for justice. So until the next one, take care and stay safe. Bye.